மறைந்த முன்னாள் குடியரசுத் தலைவர் அப்துல் கலாம் டெல்லியில் வாழ்ந்த ராஜாஜி மார்க் இல்லத்தை அறிவுசார் மையமாக மாற்ற வேண்டும் என்ற கோரிக்கைக்கு ஆதரவு பெறுகிறது. www.change.org இணைய பக்கத்தில் கலாமுக்கு ஆதரவான கையெழுத்து இயக்கத்தில் இதுவரை 2000க்கும் மேற்பட்டோர் ஆதரவு தெரிவித்துள்ளனர். இதுபற்றி கலாமுடன் 8 ஆண்டு காலம் பணியாற்றிய அவருடைய புத்தகங்களின் இணை ஆசிரியர் ஸ்ரீஜன் பால் சிங்குடன் நமது சிறப்பு செய்தியாளர் சிவப்பிரியன் நடத்திய கலந்துரையாடலை இப்பொழுது பார்க்கலாம்.
மறைந்த முன்னாள் குடியரசுத் தலைவர் அப்துல் கலாம் அவர்கள் வாழ்ந்த 10 ராஜாஜி மார்க் இல்லத்தை அறிவுசார் மையமாக மாற்ற வேண்டும் என்று பல இயக்கங்களும் நியூஸ்7 தமிழ் தொடர்ந்து வலியுறுத்தி வருகிறது. இது குறித்து தன்னுடைய கருத்துக்களை பகிர்ந்து கொள்ள நம்மோடு இணைகிறார் அப்துல் கலாம் அவர்களுடன் நீண்ட காலம் பணியாற்றிய அவருடைய தோழர் என்று கூட சொல்லலாம். அவருடன் 3 புத்தகங்களை இணைந்து எழுதியவரும் சிந்தனையாளருமான திரு Srijan Pal Singh. Welcome to News7, Mr. Srijan. We are running a campaign. It's not just News7, but all sections of the society. We want Kalam's 10 Rajaji Mark residence to be converted into a knowledge center or a public library where people can come and know how this person lived in simple terms. So, what is your opinion about the demand for converting Mr. Kalam's residence into a knowledge center?
See, first of all, thank you for running this campaign. Dr. Kalam, after his sad demise on 27 July, I've been traveling all across India talking to young students and college students and young professionals, and all of them show how they are inspired by Dr. Kalam, and regardless of what part of the country they live in, what languages they speak, what professional backgrounds they have, Dr. Kalam as a person, I'm not saying as a president or as a missile man, but as a person story, he is an inspiration to every single Indian youth, and every single Indian who thinks like a youth. So I think it is time that we think that something should be done as a memorial to Dr. Kalam on something which he believed the most important thing, which he said, knowledge makes you great. So I think it's a great idea to have a knowledge center or a public library, all of which is operated by the government in a way which is freely accessible to everyone in India, every language, every region person. And it will be great that ideally if this is made at a place where Dr. Kalam lived the last 8 years of his life, after his post-presidency, that is your Das Rajaji Marg residence. So ideally, if it is done there, there'll be nothing better than that. And also, that place is where those rose bushes and those walkways is where Dr. Kalam walked. Those study rooms are where he studied. So many books we had in his library. He wrote so many books. So many lectures came out of those places. So it'll be great to have it in that place. Ideally.
That's exactly the reason why we are asking for it, because there is an emotional connect. Mr. Kalam lived there for 8 years. You spent most of your time there with Dr. Kalam, writing books, writing his speeches, helping him in preparing his speeches. So how do you relate to Dr. Kalam to 10 Rajaji Mark? Could you please explain to us why we want that 10 Rajaji Mark to be made into a knowledge center? Because the noble soul lives there. That is what we think. There is an emotional connect.
Absolutely. No, so of course the noblest soul of our century, of our lifetime, which we'll see, lived in that house for the last 8 years of his life, and much of his time he spent within those Rajaji Marg residence walls. His walks, his talks were all there. Personally, I have also lived there. Many days when our book book writing work or our lecture work, especially the international ones or bigger institutions where he would take long courses, we have worked late night there. Many a times I've stayed there. So I think of course you're right when you say the emotional connection, not just of me, but even of you and even of everybody else in the country with that place. So ideally it should happen there, and we should have it something which is managed by the government and which is freely accessible to everyone in the country.
Thanks for your support, Mr. Srijan. And one last question. So you lived with Dr. Kalam for long, and you know that he had said so many times that I want to die while I teach, and you were the person who were with him at the last moments. You were the one who took him to the hospital. In fact, people say that he could have died on your lap. So, uh, in these circumstances, um, what do you have to say about the current allotment which has been done to a union minister who has made some remarks against Dr. Kalam, saying that he was a nationalist despite being a Muslim? Do you think that the government is somewhere trying to dishonor Dr. Kalam or something?
No, I wouldn't go along with saying that. I think everybody. I mean, of course, the government. I do not know what protocols and what procedures they follow in allotting bungalows. Whatever they did is something which is for them to decide. I am not going to criticize or appreciate anything on that respect. However, I completely support that. Ideally, we should have something like a memorial to Dr. Kalam in the last, in the place where he spent his last 8 years.